Okay.
WV Uncommonplace. This podcast is a variety podcast that houses numerous series to cover mental health, empowerment, podcast framework, and various intimate theories to get to know the hosts, along with occasional movies reviews and dives in pop culture with our event podcast episode. The Uncommonplace digs into bringing guests on that stories don't fit the mold and are very different. WV stands for the great state of West Virginia, and every quarter we cover something in West Virginia. Stacey and myself, JR, are your hosts, so please come along for this venture to Uncommonplace.
Howdy, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good night for the video people. And remember, I'm still saying that video is just video. It's not a podcast. The audio people, I love you all too. Thank you for listening. And we have a delight today. I'm going to tell a quick story, and the story is going to make sense. Inside podcasting, when you become a podcaster, you turn on the microphone, you think you got everything right, but there's something that happens, and this happens to all of us. This happened to me. I had a Zoom recorder H6, and I had it plugged up. It takes that old school USB-A. It doesn't take a normal one. It ain't even the micro USB. If anything touches that, it makes a humming sound. When power is ran into it and you don't run battery power, it makes a horrible sound. And I was conducting probably the greatest episode I've ever created. And even to this day, it still gets downloads, but it's my worst audio. That's when I really learned that I've got to work on some things for my next show to be great. And I've been able to achieve similar success because I've had better quality. I learned about microphones. But I was at Podfest, and I was at Podfest not last year, not that year, but the year before that, I believe, 3 years ago. Was it 3 years ago, I think?
I've been to lots.
Yeah, it was 3 years ago. And because we were just out of pandemic or whatever. It was 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I met a young lady. Her name is Jennifer Longworth. And I made the mistake, and she doesn't know this, and this is just a funny joke, because she deals with a lot of people. I called her Jennifer Longfeller. I didn't know your last name, but someone said Longworth, and for some reason I said Jennifer Longfeller. And you were doing a bit about podcast editing. And she's a guest on the show today, Jennifer. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And we'll give her a formal introduction in just a moment, because she's a part of an amazing company that she runs and owns. And shout out to being a female-owned company. My wife loves that. She likes the power. All she needs you to do is come to West Virginia sometime, and she'll take you to, we have a potato chip factory called Mr. B's. It's all female-owned, even though it's called Mr. B's. They make amazing chips, but you could handle the acoustics for them, help them get things right. So it doesn't sound so crunchy in there. So here's a story. She was talking about the basic portions of editing. She didn't talk about distraction editing or anything like that. But what caught me and Stacey was she didn't use one word, refine. You didn't say anything about refining the audio. You talked about how people have a misconception of, the misconception was this one thing that host can't fix, can fix every single thing. You talked about the proper mechanics, something about the pinky to the mouth or something. Yeah, to the microphone. And I pass that along to so many people. And monitoring practices like putting on a set of headphones, having a quality mic. You stated that, but what you said made the most sense to me and has stuck with me ever since then. And you've forgotten about this. Before we go any further, introduce Jennifer Longworth. Please tell us a little bit about yourself before I go any deeper in there. Let everybody know who you are real quick.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Longworth, founder, owner, master editor at Bourbon Barrel Podcasting in Lexington, Kentucky. We edit podcasts. That's the short version.
Right. Go Wildcats. You're a Wildcat fan, right?
I'm not against them, but I gave more money to U of L than I ever gave to UK when my kid went there. So,
Oh, whoa,
yeah, plot
wow.
twist.
Almost there. Hey, I'm gonna have to call a buddy down in Georgetown, and we're gonna have to just take you to the Toyota factory. All right, all right, so here's the thing. You said to check what your mics sound like,
Yes.
and the education in that, and this is for the people that have to do it yourself because you don't have a budget, or in your infancy inside podcasting, you said check your microphone. Actually listen to what you sound like before you even record. So in the different type of workflows that I deal with, some people are bootstrap and things like that. I've always said your advice. And then I took it a step further. I took them over because Rode, which we all know who Rode is, they have an app called Rode Reporter. And I use that because everybody uses lavalier mics like they're going out of style. So I always took the simple principle you gave me there, and that's one thing I want to tell you thank you for. And they check what they're doing on Rode Reporter before they even record. So that makes sense there. So that right there starts out our story. And from that point on, you've spoken at some more events that I've been at and different things that go on there. And you're my neighbor. You're right there in Kentucky. I'm in West Virginia sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm native West Virginian, we'll say. Florida, I love you, but no. But you are a podcast distillery, correct?
Yes.
And give us the reason behind that metaphor.
So I'm in bourbon country. Hence the name Bourbon Barrel Podcasting. People are like, where'd the name come from? Well, wanted to represent Kentucky without being a wildcat, cardinal, bluegrass, or thoroughbred. And there's more bourbon barrels in Kentucky than there are people. So it was just natural to go with that name. And then the idea is that we distill, your raw audio into something that you can savor. I always think that editing is a service to the listener. So like distilling gets rid of the impurities in your bourbon. That's what we do for your podcast.
Okay, so you're like the oak or the amber that keeps everything you filter. All right, now let me ask you this. What made you decide that editing podcasts would be a direction for you inside the podcast industry? What happened in life? What happened?
So I actually worked for a small radio station here locally, independently owned, a nonprofit station. And in about 2015, they said, hey, get us on iTunes. It was talk radio. Hey, get us on iTunes. How do we get our shows on iTunes? Well, I really didn't know. So I had to find out. And guess what? It looks a lot like podcasting. So I learned how to edit and RSS feeds and uploading and media hosts and Apple and all the things. iTunes back then. Now it's Apple Podcasts, but it was still iTunes when I got started. And then the station sold in 2016. We hung on for a few months longer with the podcasts we had, just doing a podcast network type of thing. But then I said, hey, you know what? I think I can do this on my own. So I got my first freelance client at the end of 2016 and then left that company in 2017. And now it's whatever year it is, and I'm still going.
All right, and you're such a force, even though you're very humble. You're such a force that you're going to be at by the time this episode comes out, you already have been there, but you're actually going to be part of one of the biggest podcast ventures and conferences in our industry, Podcast Movement in Dallas. So when you all hear this episode, make sure you go back and look at pictures of what's going to take place there, because we're talking into the future, but the future will be the past once you hear the episode.
The magic of podcasting.
Yeah, so you're actually hosting an early event.
Yes.
And to me, when I saw that and I was talking to some of our constituents in podcasting, I was like, wow. I said, if no one tells her this, I'm going to tell her when I get her on air, you've made it.
Aw.
And I'm proud of that, not because you're from Kentucky, because I'm from West Virginia. And you know the Hatfield McCoy story. But the thing is that to be on such a big stage like that and to be hosting something from your beginnings to where I met you to where you are now. Because you're a face that is known with podcast editing, even though you're humble and you don't want to act like it is or it isn't. I want to tell you thank you for that thus far. And then there's the reason for the thus far. So, can you tell us what it was like hearing your first horrible audio as a podcast? I mean, as a podcast editor.
Oh yeah, I remember the show. I remember everything about it because it was so bad. And it was back in 2016, 2017. And it was the worst 2 or 3 hours of editing every week. It was a Blue Yeti and a big open kitchen space with a fella who was trying to record with his kids while playing board games.
Oh,
It was a great concept, very poor execution. And that I don't have any idea what happened to them, but they couldn't pay me and I don't work for free. So
right. Now, one thing with what you do and being based in a strong podcast community where you are, because I come to your town to do, actually have an event every year. We're there for the Comic-Con, Lexington
yeah.
Comic-Con. We settle there, and I know that there's a big environment because the people I talk to and how many podcasts come from your area. What is it like being in a podcast-centric place that's considered the Midwest, the Southern? 'Cause, you're Midwest and Southern at the same time, which is
Yeah. We're a border state.
yeah. How does that make you feel?
It's I wish our community, our podcast community would come together stronger, because we have a meetup group that's very small, but I know there's more out there. And it was back in let's see, when was Podcast Minute Philly? 2018?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it was right before that me and another guy who was going to Podcast Philly, who was from Lexington, someone was like, "Oh, you all should meet up in Philly." I'm like, "Well, that's stupid. Why don't we just meet for coffee here in Lexington before Philly, and then we'll know somebody when we get there, right?" And when we got together, I was like, "We need to start a meetup group because I know they have a cool one in Atlanta and all the things. I want to be like that." And we started it back in 2018. It survived pandemic, but it's very, we have 430 in the Facebook group, but only like 10 come to things.
Yeah, it's always a translation issue.
Yeah.
Like people can't, and that's one thing that I will address, that we do have a problem in West Virginia, because in West Virginia, we're like way smaller than y'all, 1.5 million people, 55 counties, and I live in the most northern western county. So actually, I live in Ohio technically. I'm 30 minutes from Ohio,
Oh, wow.
an hour from Kentucky, and from you, actually, I'm only 3 hours. Well, no, 4. It's 4 because when I got to come straight down to Charleston and go straight across 64. So
Yeah.
so that ain't bad. But I do think you are right. We do need to build that stuff up. Like I always play around with the football conferences. The ACC and SEC need to get together. And everybody, one thing I want to say for the audience real fast is you never hear me say anything actually about West Virginia, because we don't talk about that conference. And we definitely don't talk about Ohio State. Now, we just don't. Now, I gotta get you to walk me through this one process, if you don't mind, Jennifer.
Okay.
This is a true blue amateur, me,
Okay.
know about the editing process. How do I go from a raw recording like what we're doing now to knowing what the polished product will be? That's what I want you to tell us about. But don't give us all the secrets, because if you tell me something like this is one thing that I'm going to ask you about real fast. Why does everybody tell me that you got to turn on noise gate? You got to turn on noise gate. Why do I always get that from people?
Because that's a thing to make them sound smart. That I can't explain, even though I went to the podcast engineering school, I still can't explain a noise gate. But people think it makes them sound cool. How about that?
Okay, that'll work for that works. That worked for me, because look, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, sometimes I'm on the go, and I do need to hire podcast editor in Kentucky. I tried to do this mobile solution. It's something called Ferret.
Oh, yeah.
And with the iPad and the Roadcaster that I was telling you about, it's told me it's designed for, it's basically an iPad deal. And I can go in there and I can work the sound to a certain degree.
Mhm.
But when you start adding effects to things, that's where I realized that we need you regardless. I don't even need to handle that. I need to be what I truly am, the on-air talent.
Yeah.
Just give it to the right people. So that's one thing I want to give to every podcaster and every content creator right now, even if you do video, because I heard that video has become a new revenue driver for you. Is that correct? Or is that just a rumor I heard?
Yeah, well, it's funny because video is like, that's the thing to do. But out of my 15 to 20 clients, what, one of them does video now?
So
Only
it
one.
Yeah, and I want, that's why I tell people, keep doing your audio podcast. Video is going to be cool, but unless you're trying to be YouTube famous, leave it on YouTube.
Yeah.
All right. So
The
now
process.
process.
Okay. So the short version without all the secrets is that you're going to record your show. You're going to send it to me through Google Drive, Dropbox. We transfer whatever we decide on, whatever works best for both of us at the time. And then I get it. I do some magic, whoop, whoop, make it sound quality wise. I call it my pre-wash. So I send everything through the pre-wash. And then after the pre-wash, I have a small team, and me or one of my team members will listen minute by minute. And
Whoa.
yes, like manually, we're not using AI to do this. We actually listen minute by minute. White glove service. Take out your uhs, ums, you know, right? Like, that's a great question. You know, I think, maybe all those stuff. Yeah, get rid of that. Take out your pauses. Oh, bless their hearts. I have a client who labeled all of their pauses and ums for me on timestamps. I'm like, that's really not necessary. I'm going to catch all those things. And like, oh, really? That's why it sounds so good every time I touch it. Yes, because I listen through. I'm not just going by timestamps. We're actually listening. And then after we've edited it, we add the intro, outro, music, level it out, normalize the sound, blah, blah, blah. And then we can either just send it back to you and have a nice day in an MP3 format, or we can upload to your media host or whatever. And video, it's a similar process, but there's the extra layer. So it's you process the audio for sound quality and then put the things back together, then audio, edit, video, blah, blah, blah together, and then rip it apart. And yeah, it's
So
just
it's a lot
extra.
to it. Yeah. So let's just stick to video, people. Now, after you've done everything and everybody has their favorite tools and software workflows.
Yeah.
One thing that I would like to get from you as a recommendation to a podcaster, and the whole rule and thumb on podcasting, and I tell people this: if you get 20 episodes in, because everybody says like 10 or 5, nah, I need you to get like 20 episodes in, because some people, you can do 10 episodes. I can record all day long and have 10 episodes.
Right.
Actually, I stockpile episodes. I have my shows actually done until next February.
Good for you.
Right. So my thing is here. What do you tell someone, even if it's a beginner, what do you tell them to get equipment wise from the jump? That's what I need from you. What should they start out with?
Equipment wise, what should they start out with?
Yeah.
The Samsung Q2U microphone, which is USB or XLR, so you can plug it directly into your computer, or you can plug it into a mixer, recorder, interface, etc. There are others like it from Audio Technica, and a few other, and Shure has one about the same type of thing. But it's budget friendly. It runs about $70 to $80 on Amazon, so it's not like you're going out there and starting with a $400 mic. You can start with an $80 mic, and that's fine.
Okay. Now, what do you say to people like me? I started out with, this is what I had. I had the Zoom recorder. I still got my Zoom mics because it's something about a dynamic mic in the way that it works for me.
Yes, you want a dynamic mic.
have you ever had any issues with people that handle like that mess with the Zoom recorder? Like, have you ever had someone send you audio or that buzzing sounds in it because something has crossed over it? It's like I'll tell you, I was actually in Grayson, Kentucky, doing something live, and with that little small device, you got to have all these wires to make monitoring work, and you have to share the same adapter for everybody to listen. Sorry about that. And I should have just bought a pod track. I know that.
Yep, that's what I use now.
Right. And you know, because the pod track is the best thing portable to use. Would you agree or not agree?
And nowadays it is, yeah. But we
Yeah.
didn't have it probably when you guys started.
Right. We didn't have that. All we had was,
Podtrack is relatively new.
yeah. Listen, all we got now is just literally like back then. If you had that, everybody thought I was awesome because I had all these mics hooked to it with the attachment to make 6 microphones going in, which that's a no-no with all that extra crap. Because the XLR cables, once power hits them or just touches the top of them, they're gone.
Buzzes are easy to get out though, from my perspective.
Okay, so you can get those out, and that's
Oh,
why.
yeah.
And that's why. Let's do a real quick little shameless plug. Where can they meet and greet you across the internet to get your services?
Bourbonbarrelpodcasting.com.
Okay, all right. And if they ever need to see a figurehead of you, like social media wise, where do you want them to find you?
I'm mostly on Facebook, Bourbon Barrel Podcasting. Also, a little bit on Instagram sometimes, Bourbon Barrel Podcasting.
Okay.
And I'm on LinkedIn.
All right, and then soon to be TikTok one day. But
Uh,
I know. Look, I'm like that too because every week they come out with a new app, and I'm like, just find me through an email or something, or me, I'm old school. You can text me or something, you know, or you can call me.
call me on the phone.
Yeah. Keep a separate number for that, and the phone's always on do not disturb. So
There you go.
yeah, pick it up whenever. So now you have gotten into doing everything production, professional wise, and editing because you've already had the career in radio, and it comes a point where you've got to decide. And this is the hard thing that happened to me because I talked to you a little bit about my situation where I became a speaker. You advocate as much as you can with your clients, but you know, to get true authenticity, you got to become a public speaker, correct?
Yeah, it
So-
really helps. Yeah.
So what made you want to become a public speaker?
I'm a preacher's kid and
Okay.
grew up with my dad public speaking in front of me every week.
Okay, so it went hand in hand.
Yeah, it's kind of a natural progression. That's a whole nother rabbit hole story, but
All right, we'll have to do that on when we do dashboard confessionals. I'll have to have you on for that because that'll be crazy.
okay.
Now, people get the proper equipment, and I always hear the Samsung Q2U. Now, let me tell you what I did. I didn't buy that Samsung Q2U. I bought this little small Samsung. I know you know what I'm talking about with the little, like you just plug it in, like it has the headphone adapter to it.
Oh, yeah.
I bought that, and it has the USB. I bought that to start off with. That's what I used to podcast with.
I have a couple of clients who started off with just their phones. She
Whoa.
records with just her phone. It's an iPhone, just her
Okay.
phone. And I have one client who records on a MacBook with no microphone.
Whoa. So does it sound like they're down the hallway?
Not after I'm done with it.
But before it does sound like they're down the hallway, or
Yeah, kind of.
okay. Or they could be at what is the place I was thinking of? They could be at Natural Bridge and try to holler at you, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, we can go with that one. So once you get the right mic, and you move on in your progression of podcasting, what's the next equipment upgrade do you believe in? Because here's where people get angry and get mad. I stuck with that. I went from that little Samsung little thing I was telling you about to a Yeti mic. And the reason I used a Yeti mic, and I'm gonna tell you why, because I had a MacBook and I used to, like I said, I travel 100%. I'm only home. I really live in hotels. I don't even live at home. So, so the thing is, I had to figure out a way beyond Zoom when I do live stuff, and I had to make this crazy thing called an aggregated device. The worst mistake I ever made using Yetis. I am one of the few podcasters that have actually had 6 Yeti mics. And I know this 6 Yeti mics hooked up through dongles to one computer. I mean, I made an aggregated device. And do you know what that episode sounded like?
Trash.
It was horrible.
Total trash.
So I took the Yeti, gave it to my son, and then I took the other 4 Yetis I had, and I eventually gave them out to other podcasters and said, "Don't use this. Just keep it as a." People use it, taking pictures with them. That's the best thing they're good for. Take a picture.
Yeah, it's a great prop. I have one for that purpose.
Yeah, but a Yeti, we can not use it. So what would you use when you're in the middle? And the reason I said there's a divide, because some people will tell you automatically, "Oh, go grab a Rodecaster and do this, and that." And the reason I tell people personally not to buy a Rodecaster, and Rode, please don't come hurt me. And I know that they got the 4-person one, which is the Caster Pro 2, and they got the Duo, and they got all this new stuff that they got out there. I tell them for an interface, just because I'm a Zoom guy, I tell people go buy the Pod Trap.
Mm-hmm.
When you're serious about podcasting and you know you're going to use an XLR mic or any, you can use a dynamic mic, but what would you tell someone in the middle that's ready to upgrade their sound from a USB mic? What sound would you tell them to go to if they didn't buy the Q2U, if they started with a USB mic and wanted to move on to XLR?
Well, the question is why, first of all. Why do you need to upgrade? Do you want to, is it just for sound quality? Is it just because you want to look cooler? Is it, what's your motivation? My setup, I have the Shure MV7 plugged into a Scarlett 2i2 into my computer. And that's partly because I wanted to be cool and just be cooler. But did I need to upgrade from a Samsung Q2U directly plugged in? No, I probably didn't for the, what I use for the podcast I host a podcast for my church, Mary Queen Stories. And we record everything in person. So we use the Samsung Q2U XLR into the PodTrack P4.
Okay.
So that's what I use for that. And with the magic I do in post, it sounds fine.
Okay. So I like the advice you gave. You don't have to upgrade. It just has to be something discretionary. So if you're someone like me that's on the go, the Pod Track would be something that you would tell them to grab, because I can add certain things in that you can fix. Now, let me ask you if this is a pet peeve. Like in my show, because I have the Rodecaster, you notice I did my intro and I can do my outro.
Right, yeah.
Is that an issue on editing, or would you rather you put it in so that it's timed properly, or is there an issue with what I just did?
If you're self-editing, yeah, go ahead. But if you're using an editor, give it to us separately.
Okay. And why?
Because, the main reason is when I send it through my pre-wash doesn't understand intros, outros, and music.
Okay.
And I have to re-add it later anyway.
Okay.
So, but just because that's the system, the pre-wash just gets very confused and doesn't understand music at all.
Okay. Now, here's the major topic, and this is the hardest thing, and we got more to get into, but here's a major thing. People that podcast for a while sometimes get on the wall and they get butthurt, and I'm going to say the word butthurt, about paying an editor. The reason why I know that it's something you should do, and it's something that will bring a quality of life to your show, is I've listened to shows that have been edited by editors, people that take care of the distraction editing and all that other stuff. And I always hear people talk about this extra thing about, oh, we just like to keep our show natural, but I always give them the point of listener migration. If I'm in my shower, and this is an odd scenario, and I'm listening to a podcast, I don't want to hear anything crazy because I can slip and fall. If there's a weird scratch, or if I hit the mic or do something crazy like that, I don't want to know about the domestic violence that goes on between the podcaster and the microphone. I don't need that in my life. Not at all.
Right.
So that's why I always tell people that, and that's why, like me and Stacey, where we're moving into a different realm with her show, I know that I'm going to have to hire a podcast editor because, her show, we can just be honest here, her show is a money-driven show. And I know that I can no longer, and this is me admitting this to a podcast editor, I can't get away with the shabby editing that I do anymore. I need to just be an on-air talent.
Yeah.
And that's 100%. Now, my show, excuse me, but I told people that my sound, it was going to sound like the microphone was beating me up. I told them that from the get-go. But I do edit on the sense of auto leveling. Because that's
Yeah.
the question I have for you. And this is something serious, too. I know I'm going all over the world with things. When I listen to other shows, I can tell when it's been edited by an editor because it sounds proper on Spotify, Apple, anywhere, even Google Podcasts, God rest its soul. When you want to check out a show that has not been edited by an editor, you can go listen to West Virginia Uncommonplace and hear how low it is and how loud you got to turn it up to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
That is where I know your amazing services and there's other editors, but let's just be nice and just say other editors. That's where coming to you will enhance the episode and will make it a fantastic listening experience for a listener.
Yeah.
And that will bring revenue to me, and whatever I pay you to do that in the future, it'll come back to me tenfold. I mean, it'll come back more than what I pay you because the audio's there, and you can answer this question for me. Content matters, but what truly matters?
Oh, audio quality matters first because you get like 5 seconds. You can't even get to content in 5 seconds. If your audio quality is bad, nobody's going to listen past your 5 seconds. I mean, I'm picking that number out of the air. I don't know what it really is. But for me, if I turn on a podcast and it sounds bad, I'm not going to listen, even if it is my friend's podcast.
Right.
I can't do it.
At least you're not like me. If someone's podcast sounds bad, do you know how I listen to it? On a Bluetooth speaker.
Oh, okay.
Because I need distortion. I need it to already be in a place where it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, yeah.
It can't be in my ear. It can't be a clip-on thing. I can't even wear it on a clip-on speaker. It needs to be on a Bluetooth speaker far away from me.
Far away. Yeah, yeah.
So thank you for that one. So.
Yeah, that was an easy one. And I totally know how to fix your loudness problem.
All right.
I can tell you how to do that yourself, even if you don't want to,
Oh no! That's a service that I'm willing to pay for because Stacy needs her show to sound right because it's a horrible issue in podcasting.
Yeah,
I cannot.
So easy to fix. It's so easy.
Right, but let me tell you a little bit about these do-it-yourself people like me. We get on services and we learn how to make it halfway work. Like for example, I'm going to give you the story of me and you tell me where I went wrong.
Okay.
Instead of going into GarageBand, guess what I went to? I have a buddy that has a license to Logic.
Oh.
So I went in there like I'm this beat master and I can do this and that.
Uh-huh.
Started working with it, not knowing that if you don't have the proper knowledge, I didn't respect the field of editing.
Yeah.
And I'm 100% saying that. So I thought I could just go in and move some little things up and down and get things, equalizers and everything, get everything worked out. Oh no.
Not in Logic. Not easily.
No. It was like going to college again and not knowing what my major would be.
Yeah.
And I was told later that I could have set up some easier systems in GarageBand if I wanted to, or I could have done what I would have a person that's going to amateurly edit their show. I would tell them, and you can correct me on this, I would tell them go to Audacity before I would even tell them to ever touch an Apple product for editing.
Yeah. AudacityTeam.org. Yep.
Seriously? Wow.
It's free. That's not what I use, but it's free, and I send people to that all the time.
To start them off, right? If they're bootstrapping, they got to learn how to do it. If they consult you, now do you have consultant hours? That's one thing I want to ask you about. Can someone consult you? If
yes.
So you have a calendar app where they can like pay you $20 and you'll take care of them.
It's more than $20, but yeah.
All right. Well,
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Okay, so how do they get in touch with you for that? That's another shameless plug we need to throw in there.
Yeah, I'll send you to bourbonbarrelpodcasting.com. I believe there's a link to my calendar app on there. It's through Book Like a Boss, so.
Okay. And see, I like that. She's actually going to look at it, audience, even the ones that are listening to the audio, she's actually looking it up right now to
make sure that button's still on my website, right?
Okay. Right.
Yeah, schedule a call now. It's right there at the top. Okay. Good deal.
And the great thing I do like about editors in general, just talking to you and other editors I have talked to, you all don't gatekeep. You're not going to give me the exact software in which you made your workflow, but you don't gatekeep. Something like that, you would let me know because you're like, if your audio is that crappy, here's a fix. But don't tell me because if I know it, then I'll think I'm another do it yourself, and I need to pass that along to someone else. I just need to record it and send it out. All right. What is an improper fault that people have about the editing process that you can demystify?
Well, you mentioned it earlier that everything can be fixed in post. So it was some other people at Podcast Movement or Podfest, they go to both, who said, no, fix it in pre. And I'm like, I'm stealing that and using it. So fix it in pre, don't rely on us to fix it in post, because I had a really bad hairstyle once and I went to a new hairdresser and she said, well, I can't fix it, but I can help it. And that's how I feel about some audio. It's like, well, I can't totally fix it. Like the people who record on Microsoft Teams and send me that, yeah, don't do that, please. I've told them not to do that. They don't listen, but anyway.
What about people that record on Discord? Do you have an issue with them, or have you dealt with that
I
yet?
haven't dealt with that. I just know that Teams is not good. And then the people are like, why do I sound like I have a lisp? I'm like, because you recorded on Teams and there's nothing I can do to help it.
Now, what other software I'd like to ask you about? Live streaming.
Live streaming, yes.
Yeah. When people take that audio from that later, does it ever why does it always sound like it's like it's got a weird, like, I don't know how to express it in any word. Live streaming, when I hear the audio when it's been ripped, I don't know if you've ever had that happen to you. Like, it sounds different. Not about the delay, because that's just video, but when someone live stream, I'll listen to audio and it sounds like it's like a hissing sound or something. Or maybe they just had bad equipment, or they didn't have their equipment up proper.
And it makes me wonder what platform they're using to live stream. Like YouTube Live or what?
No, we're using StreamYard.
Okay.
And then I've had people in this other service, and I don't want to get canceled. There were some people using this thing called Riverside.
Yeah.
And then the other thing too, people using these Chrome browser based recording software. I don't know. I know you dealt with that.
Uh-huh.
Like where the audio has to, after you're done recording it, you have to wait a while so that it lines up.
Yeah.
Do you advise people to use those type of services, or should they use something different? Like the Chrome, and I'm not picking on people that use Google, because Google's fine, but just in my life.
Oh, wow. I'm a Google person.
Apple.
I got a Google phone, even Google Calendar, Google Gmail, Google everything. Google. I'm not an Apple person at all. No Apple here.
So you like fragmentation?
Yes, apparently.
Okay. Well, I guess when we meet you for lunch, we'll have to meet you at a barbecue joint that doesn't have great barbecue.
Aww.
I know there's one in town. I'm not gonna say any name, but anyway. And you probably know about it. I might tell you later. I might just keep it for when me and Stacey see you. So is there something they can do about using that Chrome browser? Because, I'll be honest with you. I know that there have been advancements with Riverside now, but Riverside in its infancy, I would tell people stay away from it.
Well, with any software, they're always growing, changing, evolving, raising their prices, growing, changing, evolving, raising their prices, growing, changing, evolving, raising their prices. And you can always use OBS. I've never used OBS myself. So I don't know how it works, but I've heard good things about it. But, the thing I like about Riverside is that it was designed for podcasting instead of other things that are like, oh, like Teams. You know what else we could use it for? Is our podcast. No, please don't use Teams.
Zoom is not, me and you both know Zoom is not designed for this. I will say they've made a few advancements, and I am a proponent, and I can't say anymore because me and Zoom have a relationship, but they have stepped it up in ways that work. Heck, they even got an option for the AirPods now.
Oh, nice.
To fix the audio there. But anyway, I'm hand in hand with Zoom, so I can't be mean or anything to them. But truly, I shouldn't be on here. We should be on Riverside or something comparable to Riverside. That's not Podcastle. And I'm going to say that straight up on the show, because A lot of people use Podcastle for their AI editing and different things like that. And when people edit in that, I've heard things, they sound like robots.
Wow.
But you're not saying that. I'm saying that. So you don't have to worry about it.
I didn't say that.
Now, yeah. No, you took time, became a public speaker. You've always been one because of your dad. Then you decided to write a book.
Yes.
You've been out here giving knowledge, build a strong podcast. Who did you write this book for? Why did you write this book? Oh, right there, that amazing book. Can we see the back of it too?
It's me.
Right. And one thing I want to say, audience, before we go any further, if you go to your state capital with the ISBN of that book, once you purchased it from her website or from any other retailer, purchase it directly from her website, please. Because if you buy it on Amazon or somewhere crazy like that,
well, you're gonna end up buying on Amazon if you go to my website. So you actually had to find me in person.
Oh, and buy it. Okay.
To avoid Amazon. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I'm not cool enough. I don't want to get into the drop shipping game. I don't have time for that.
Right. So, but what I will say is that one thing that everybody's forgotten in their history, and whenever I cover author circle on the show, take the ISBN from the book once you purchase it, take it to your state library, request that book in that library, and they will get it in every county in your state. That will immortalize the book, and that will be an option so that everyone can read it, and she will receive revenue from it also. We're not worried about that part. You're worried about that. But the thing is that it will be somewhere that an inspiring podcaster or someone that maybe can't get to the book because they live in the mountains of West Virginia, they can get down out the holler and get to the library and read that book. So always remember that, and remember, support people that support you. And she wrote this book to help people, but tell us who you wrote this for, why you wrote this book, and how this book is part of your legacy.
So I wrote this book for the pod curious, which is a word I thought I made up, and then I heard someone else use it, so now I'm not so sure. But people who are curious about podcasting, and the people who ask me the same 10 questions every time they want to start a podcast. I'm like, you know what? If I put all these answers in one place, and now I do this, they're like, I want to start a podcast. Okay, where are you on your journey? Oh, you haven't even started yet. Just go buy my book, and we'll talk later. Because everything I'm about to tell you is in there. I will ship it to you. I will hand it to you. Come see me. Here's a book. Because I get in the same conversation over and over and over, and I just put it in a book.
Okay. So can I ask you this? And this is a little you go to a lot of podcast conferences, right?
Yes.
So let's say like if some podcasters were at a certain podcast conference in Charlotte, you would have this book on hand with you that they could purchase from you?
I can do that, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have about 20 on hand right now.
All right. So you'll probably get rid of those. You'll get rid of those in Texas. So you'll have to get 20 more.
Yeah.
But when you go to that said conference in Charlotte, you'll definitely be there. Now, how much does it cost to get an autograph?
Well, the autograph comes free with the purchase of the book.
And see, that's the amazing thing about you. And I like that about you. Now, here comes the hard part about writing a book. When you write a book, you have to do some therapy. Because the thing is, I've written a book too, and you have to stop, go. What was the part of this book that you had to stop, put it down, and come back to it later?
The whole thing. No, people are like, how long did it take you to write the book? It's like 3 times as long as it should have, because I just kept dragging my feet. I got bogged down in some of the tech chapters, right? Because the way the book laid out, it goes through what I call my podcast pyramid, where you start with building the foundation of your podcast, and a tiny part of that pyramid is the tech. It doesn't come first. It comes, it's like fourth or something, and then I got stuck on the tech because it's always changing. There's so much out there. I didn't know everything, so I had to ask the computer, all right, can you compare these two tech things, and what's the specs on this? I'm trying to keep it relatable still, but I can't just tell everybody buy a Samsung Q2U and be done. They want to know more. Like, okay, here's a dynamic mic, here's a condenser mic, here's a Blue Yeti, why not to buy it? Here's, so it went into a little deeper than just, get a dynamic Samson QTU, and that chapter just kind of got me stuck. But if you've done a book, once you get in the zone, it's like chick 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 chick. Got it. I wrote a chapter. Yay, go me! And then there's some days that like I got nothing.
Right. So true. So true. And writing the technical aspect and keeping your book evergreen, I know that's like a hard thing to do. Because
Yeah.
one thing with me, and I say this, and this is just about mics and everything like that. Every year they come out with a new microphone, a new update to it. And one thing that made me get away from the Blue Yeti, and this is my story, and I'll tell everybody, when Logitech bought Yeti and they started doing software upgrades on the inside of the microphone, like, with the software, obviously, and they started enhancing it and doing more with it, I realized that they were telling me that there was something wrong with the mic.
Oof.
And learning that lesson, and I mean, I'm telling you, I had a black mic, a silver one, a blue one, I had a green one, it looked like the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Now, I'm being serious. Once I realized that, that's when I knew I had to change. That's when I knew that, because I was stuck on this thought that hooking the I'm doing the same thing regardless. Even if I buy the interface and all that stuff, I'm still hooking it through a USB connection to the computer, unless I'm doing a normal recording where it's just me and the mics. And I actually like to record more in person than I do doing like what we're doing now, because that's a different sound to me. And I wanted to ask you, is it a different sound to you, or?
A little bit. I don't have as discerning of an ear as some people think I do.
Oh, well, see, I thought you could hear in 4K.
Oh, I know, right? Wouldn't it be?
So there's really not much difference to you? Like,
there's a difference between a Blue Yeti condenser mic and a nice dynamic mic.
Okay.
Every time. But as far as USB versus XLR, it's not as distinguishable to me.
And I thank you for that. And I like how you put it to you. Because to me, with the Yeti, though, if I had to just had any other USB mic, I wouldn't have known the difference. But here was my problem. Everybody took the Yeti and used to turn it. And instead of keeping it straight up.
You have to go straight up. Yeah, it's a side addressing mic, not a top address mic. Yeah.
Right. And you had to talk to it. It was almost like you had to love it a certain way.
Yeah.
And hold your neck a certain way. And if you didn't, you'd fall over and, whatever.
It can be a great mic if you have your settings set properly. If you side address it towards the blue logo like you're supposed to. And the most important thing, you have a sound treated space.
Sort of like back behind you. You got some sound treatment over there.
Yeah, I do. Yep. That's one of the first things that went up in the new house.
And I like that. Congratulations on that. And that's the one thing, like, the Yeti mic, I'll say this, take that bad boy, go play video games with it.
Yeah, no problem.
Go do anything else that doesn't have to be truly recorded. This you're just talking to someone.
Yeah.
If you're communicating, I've even told people, and someone should get me for this. I told a guy, take your iPhone, like the old Lightning ones, use a converter, and talk to your wife on that. If you're done using your mic, literally let her see you holding that big Yeti, talk on it, and have fun. And I actually have someone recorded doing that.
That's funny.
But you got the microphone at the end. And I said, that's a true quality call if you're somewhere. That's all the Yeti's good for.
Yeah.
Now, going further on with this book, you write it, you get it out here, you got to market it.
Yeah.
Is it harder to market a book than it is to produce audio or have a podcast and market it?
I think so. Because I haven't, making money off the book isn't the point. The point is to have it as a resource for people. So shout out to Lexington Public Library. Brian Clausen got my book in the public library here locally as soon as it came out.
Okay.
Boom, in the library. And that's almost cooler than having it published, as my book is in the library. It's not just published, it's in the library. It's a reference book at the digital studio. You can check it out from other branches, but in the digital studio, it stays there.
Okay. So
which is very cool.
So you write your book more or less as a service.
Yes.
And that is what builds a community, and that's what makes the book valuable. And I thank you for that there, because a lot of people don't understand that. Service, you get the gratitude of it being immortalized at that library.
Yeah.
And you can take it anywhere with you, and you have a reference to who you are and what you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, you're going to podcast movement. What are some of the activities that will take place with you at podcast movement? What are your motions? Because here's my story with you. Last year at this past year at Podfest, you were in this room talking. You know what room I'm talking about, right? That
I
one
think
that
so.
yeah, it was like the one that was like because it wasn't the hall that was right there beside the convention hall.
Keep going.
Yeah, but you're I know you remember with me
I
too.
remember seeing you at like the tall tables.
Yeah, but no, you were speaking.
Did I speak this year?
Or was it last year? It was one of the years wherever you were speaking at. Like you went, the convention hall was here, and then you went into this room and you were there speaking.
Okay. I think it was last year then, because I don't think it spoke this year.
All right, well, we're getting old, so whenever whenever you spoke, you gave certain dynamics and things and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How do you keep your topic fresh for people?
Oh, that's a great question.
Because here's the thing that I wanted to ask you, because like I know like with what I talk about, it's nothing to keep it fresh because there's always new technology, so it makes itself fresh. So how do
Right.
you keep podcast editing interesting on a public speaking forum?
Well, we'll find out next week when I go to Podcast Movement, which will have already taken place by this point. But this time I'm combining 2 talks and adding a 3rd section.
Whoa.
So, well, I got finished in 12 minutes at Podcast Movement Evolutions for a 30-minute talk and was like, well, okay, I need to add add something to that if I'm going to do that talk ever again, because that was way too short. And basically, I ended with, well, you just reclaimed 15 minutes of your life. Thanks for coming. And was done. But, trying to look at it from a fresh perspective and, speaking a few times a year. And then the Lexington Podcasters group, we get together about once a month. And sometimes I have an agenda, sometimes I don't. I kind of lead the group, and sometimes I just say, what do you have going on right now? What do we need to mastermind? I don't use that term usually, but basically, what do we need to hash out this week? What are people thinking about? Oh, this week it's this week it's that, or this month or whatever. And so hearing from other people helps too. To the boots on the ground, the people who are really doing it. What are you concerned about right now? Oh, I'm concerned about Instagram. I don't understand it. Okay, well, let's talk about Instagram. And maybe somebody else in the group knows everything there is to know about Instagram marketing. And we had YouTube experts come in one day, and
things that make sense and things that fit the puzzle together.
Yeah.
Back to equipment real quick.
Okay.
A stand versus a boom arm. Which one do you prefer?
Well, I am using a boom arm, and you are using a stand. But I have a shock mount on my boom arm, because with the stand and your setting, I mean, with your mobile setting, you're probably going to go with the stand. We have stands for the Mary Queen podcast, because to set up boom arms just seems more annoying in a mobile setting. Not necessarily, but the one I have would be. And you just got to remember not to touch the table, though.
Right. And not beat the microphone up like I did.
Not beat the microphone up, not touch the table, keep your hands off. So that's one of the reasons I like the boom arm with the shock mount, is because if I hit the table, which I do my darndest not to, theoretically it won't get through to the mic. Now you're going to go back in post-production and go, wow, she hit the table so many times. With all those knocks and noises. No, it's fine.
Okay. Now, before we get off here, I need you to help out the next podcaster that's going to make some mistakes.
Okay.
The mistakes that happen is once everybody gets the gear and everything they need, and I'm talking about the tech, they get the microphones, they get whatever interface, or if they don't, if they're using a USB mic, they soundproof. The soundproofing is a crazy thing. I know people that use egg crates, they use all kinds of stuff. They use pod tiles. Shout out to them. Anything. Yep.
Those are the blue ones are pod tiles. Uh-oh.
Okay.
Camera. Sorry.
That's all good.
Well, it's gonna fall. There we go.
So, what is something that they can do, like, to not make any mistakes after they bought or they've got everything proper?
Okay, well, the title of my talk for Podcast Movement is Before You Record,
Okay.
Strategy, Structure, and the Secrets Your Podcast Editor Wish You Knew. I think that's the name of it. I've changed the name a couple times, but the strategy and structure you got to figure out before you hit record. I've had consultation calls with people, and the first two questions I ask are, why do you want to start a podcast and who's your audience? If they can't answer those, we don't work together.
Oh, well, that makes sense because you got to have your why and you got to know.
Yeah. Because if you don't know why you're doing it, you're not going to get past episode 3.
Right.
Because you're just like, oh, I'm doing a podcast because my friends told me I should. Okay, well, that's not a very strong, compelling answer. You're not going to get very far into it because once you realize that the tech is hard, then you don't have a reason to keep going, really. It's like, well, that was too hard. I'm not going to do it. That's why all these podcasts that popped up in COVID are all dead. Because people didn't have a strong why behind it. And then if you don't know who you're talking to, it's not going to resonate necessarily with anyone because, I want everyone to listen to my podcast. Well, I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. Everyone is not going to listen to your podcast. Who are you talking to? And yes, narrow it down. People, I don't want to put myself in a box. It's fine. Even if you're targeting a certain audience, that doesn't mean no one else is allowed to listen.
Right. And
so, yeah.
But my take is niche down to your curation.
Mm-hmm.
And I follow that strategy because, like, with my show, I do cover multiple topics, but you get 4 weeks of one topic. So, like, with this episode, I'm going to have other people that do different aspects in podcasting. So it all relates together. And then when I do the fancy little artwork for y'all, I might turn the title into Shadows of Podcasting or something crazy like that.
Okay.
But the way that I'm going to do it, it's going to make sense. And that's why I do agree with you with niching down or niching, whatever you want to say.
Right, right.
Because we're country. I try to do the proper English way, the northern way, saying niche.
Niche, but it doesn't rhyme. You want to say riches are in the niches.
Right.
Riches are in the niches sounds silly.
Right. And we're Southern, so we got accents. And with me being originally from Virginia, mine's harder than yours. In Kentucky, if you were from like Pikeville or somewhere, Eastern Kentucky, you wouldn't even talk. We'd have to have subtitles right now.
Ouch. You're not wrong, but ouch.
Right, right. Or Hazard. God, and Hazard, woo.
Western Kentucky has their own thing.
I mean, it's a different
accent, but it's a whole other.
And see, where you're like that, I consider you all that Cincinnati, Indiana persuasion. More Cincinnati than anything. Because it's a hop, skip, and jump away from me.
Right.
But, like, y'all sounded way different. I can't even enunciate how you all enunciate. One thing I do want to ask you, though, and this is just for all of us people, West Virginia, Kentucky. When you carry something, you don't pack it, right?
No.
Because something weird.
What?
Here's a story. The word packing means carry in West Virginia. I'm going to pack that out to the car.
No.
I say I'm going to carry that out, but it's something that it's a West Virginia thing. I'm like, wow. And then reaching for something is retch. Like a retch for something. I know you've heard it. I've
heard it, but I don't say that.
So some of those folklores are or those things are wild. Now, what has been your greatest triumph in podcasting?
My greatest triumph in podcasting?
Yes, ma'am.
Was starting a team last year and hiring subcontractors to work for me.
That has to feel good. Delegation, right? Delegation, 100%.
I mean, it's not like it's a very small team where there's like 5 of us now, maybe 6. So it's not like a huge, we're managing 100 shows, blah, 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 all that stuff. But uh, getting people on my team was very cool.
Okay. And I like that because it shows, that you're building it up. So eventually you're going to get to a point where you don't even edit anymore. You're going to just be like, hey, do
I
this.
do very little editing now,
Oh, you're
actually.
supposed to tell that. That's a part you're not supposed to tell. You're supposed to be like, yes, I still get into the trenches.
I still do when deadlines are on the line.
Wow. So you actually so you're the talent now. You're just the figurehead.
Project manager.
Okay, project manager, but
I'm still the first and last touch of every show. I still do the pre-wash.
Okay. But eventually you'll be a figurehead, like the Queen of England, right?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's the plan, right?
Yeah.
Now, one thing I need you to do before we jump off here, I need you to leave the world with your mission statement and the mantra that was given to you by a family member.
If you can't be good, be funny.
Okay.
That's our family's mission statement, not the business one. But I'm like, well, if you can't be good, be funny.
Right.
But on my website it says empowering you to change the world one podcast at a time. That's the business, but I went with the family one first. If you can't be good, be funny.
Okay. Like that. Now, since we finished that part up, tell everybody where they can meet and greet you across the internet one more time. And the reason I do that is because me and you both know in intervals, with us both being marketing and advertising geniuses, that you have to reach people because some people listen to my show in crazy ways. I told you I don't have a horrible drop off, but whenever they pause an episode analytically wise, some shows drop from there. Even if they pick it back up, you only get that one download or you get that one bit of analytical information. So you never know what happens. So I do have some weird people. And the only reason I'm saying they're weird is they'll listen to the episode at the beginning, skip through to like halfway to the end, and listen to it. But I can't count that as an analytic. They tell me this personally through emails and stuff.
Oh, wow.
So I always like to let them, like, there be a middle, a start, and an ending, all in that order, just the way I said it for those people, so they can figure out who I'm talking to and why I'm talking to them and what they're about. So Jennifer, if you wouldn't mind, could you please tell us where people can meet and greet you across the internet?
Yeah, I'm Jennifer Longworth with Bourbon Barrel Podcasting. You can find me at bourbonbarrelpodcasting.com. Also, Bourbon Barrel Podcasting on Facebook, Instagram, and I'm Jennifer Longworth on LinkedIn.
And she forgot to plug her book.
I did, because I forget to plug my book. It's called Build a Strong Podcast. If you go to buildastrongpodcast.com, it will take you to the Amazon page where you can get it, because I am self-published through Amazon. Build a Strong Podcast.
KDP. Love that. Love that. Love that.
Yep.
So on that note, she's Jennifer, I'm JR, and we are out of here.